Well, Sulu just misspoke.
In the heat of the moment.
Talos 4, General Order 4, mid General Order 7. That's all I did. No, that's
makes sense.
bullshit.
Makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense. You're right.
Again, like Spock's bitchiness last week. I also thought, like, while Kirk is... Well, have they put Janice Lester's body on the stand yet in this point?
I think so.
While fake Kirk's cross-examining her and, like, being really creepy and intimidating, like, and talking about, like, I would like to see the historic moment where where Janice Lester overpowered this. And, like, you see Chekhov and Sulu exchange a little look, and they're like, yeah.
Right.
Like, and even the sit-in for Uhura, the white girl who's...
The white girl?
I don't know her name. She's been in a few episodes. I don't think her character's ever named. She even gives a little smile. She's like, yeah, women, right?
Us. Am I right?
We're so weird.
So, like, at this point, everyone realizes that, what's going on. And
shit's fucked up.
And they refuse to listen to Fake Kirk, and Fake Kirk throws a huge hissy fit. And for a second, like, their minds are reversed. I guess, like, the strong emotional, like, whatever. So Fake Kirk tells Colin about it, and he's like, dude, you gotta kill the lady body to make it permanent, and mixes up a poison.
Yep. A death potion.
And so...
death potion.
Somehow Fake Kirk loses control again, and real Kirk's able to... Or the mind's able to... They switch, and they're able to keep it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know, but they send Janice and Coleman off to face the charges.
Mm-hmm.
And...
Kirk has a line.
The last line of Star Trek...
Before it went softly into that good night.
Her life could have been as rich as any woman's. If only... If only what? If only she wasn't
mad with ambition.
Exactly. If only she'd known her fucking place.
Yeah, it's really fucked
Could have been rich as any woman's. Rich, full of making dinners and making babies.
Exactly.
And
she would never have to wear shoes.
Ironing Starfleet uniforms.
Right. Yeah, it's a fucked up thing to say. And I was just thinking about this right now. Think about...
Right now.
Well, while you were talking, I sort of dozed off. No, I'm just kidding.
My mind's eye or whatever.
No, I was thinking about... Compare the writing in this episode to the writing in The Cage, the original pilot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a complete fucking world of difference. Like, that is such a finely constructed piece of science fiction TV. And this is just like... They're just throwing stuff at the wall at this point. Like, women suck, body switch, Kirk gets to throw a tantrum. There's a lot of identity mix-ups in Star Trek. It's sort of a comedy of errors that lasted 3 years.
Now, if Janice...
Rand.
Lester.
Interesting. Woman named Janice in Star Trek, too. What's that about?
If Janice Lester, if her character had been a man... How would we react to this story?
Well, I think it paints the story in a completely different light if it's a man, because at least in the show's milieu, men are equals and women are sort of... I mean, they're allowed to work on the ship and stuff, which I guess is sort of progressive. They're like the space secretaries. Less progressive than the original pilot, which had a woman as the first officer.
Yeah.
By the way, how's that got a burn for Michelle Roddenberry, right? It's like, she went from being the co-lead to, like, she's in some episodes.
Some, I guess.
As a minor character. But anyway, I think it paints the show in a completely different light, because they would, his life could have been as rich as any man's isn't really an offensive line, because, well, I mean, men aren't really oppressed, so it's like... And also, man, even now, although it shouldn't be, is sort of the default for the human experience, so, like... I don't know, the gender politics aren't in play, so then it's just another boring... It's just another story. Switch, yeah.
I don't know, I mean, this could have been a great episode if they played up the fact that, I mean, like, hey, it is kind of bullshit. Like, she was just as capable as anyone, as any man.
And if they paid attention to her, guided her, like, sort of, like an Anakin Skywalker situation where it's like, if this person had done things right or had been treated right or whatever, things might have gone differently, but we did this to her.
Brought to you by Kickstart.
Actually, Anakin Skywalker's a terrible, because he had every fucking opportunity and he still managed to screw that shit up.
But is it? Because they don't give any indication as whether or not she just said like, oh, I couldn't do it.
Right. Well, and every indication, once she's in a man's body, she's making bad decisions. She's, she's incompetent. She's acting the fool. She's jealous. She's nervous. Basically, they took all of like the things you would say about the negative things you could say about like Lady Macbeth or whatever, and packed it all into one episode. Now, my alternate ending, if they really wanted to, even though the episode's shitty, what I really would have loved to have happened is she actually gets to keep his body at the end. Like, and nobody knows. And Kirk is forever imprisoned in Janice Lester on the prison planet or dies, basically, in the subpar medical facilities. And, like, that's just where the show ends. That would have been like a great Twilight Zone.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna say like it's more Twilight Zone than Trek, but
Trek, the original pilot, is more. Some of those episodes are more Twilight Zone than what we think of as Trek.
Yeah, well, it's like they
like the episode with the Mercs and the
Mercs.
That turned out to be the Americans.
Oh, and
the commies
the Yangs and the
Yangs. That's what it was.
The Yangs and the Croms? The Croms, I think?
I don't know.
I don't know. I think they could have, they could have made the story about, they still could have made her, I don't know, if she hadn't had all those attributes, like you said, like making bad decisions, like she takes over Kirk's body and
turns out to be a cunning, like,
well, like, is it
Khan, basically
is a decent captain,
commander, right?
But but I guess like the bitterness and the jealousy that as she's been stewing in for however many years starts to come into play,
right? I guess if they hadn't made such a big deal of like feminine characteristics versus masculine characteristics in the episode, even having her be a villain still would have been okay.
Yeah, because you watch Star Trek 2 and you have Kirstie Alley's Vulcan character. What's the name? Saavik, and like she's the captain. Like there's nothing like, oh, it's a lady. Wow, weird.
Right.
That's just like
she's just another officer on the ship.
Just another person, just another dude.
Yep, and not even really treated like she's not a love interest or anything. She's like just a character.
Yeah, like
she's sort of the young person learning from Kirk instead of like a young man officer. It's kind
which is crazy because like nowadays, if Star Trek, if what they introduce.
It's a real Don Draper Peggy Olson relationship.
Well, I mean, if there was a movie, and there was someone that was different from everyone else, a character,
right?
In Spock's case, he's a Vulcan,
right?
Or there could be like he's like whatever, like someone's of a different race, a different species, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then in the sequel, they introduce another character who was of that same like subset.
Right.
You'd be like, oh, they would hook up. That would be it. Like
right.
That's it. Like that's like
that's why they introduced.
Oh,
that.
Okay. Like they need a bone down. Like
right.
He needs someone to stick his dick in.
Nope.
So and in Star Trek 2, they're just like, no, she's there. I mean, just
right.
doing whatever everyone fucking else is doing.
Well, he's her captain, right? Yeah. He's the captain of the Enterprise. And she's one of his officers. And it's not Pon farr.
And it's not.
Although, I mean, well, I don't want to get into the sequels.
Don't you though?
I mean, I do. I can't wait to talk about. But let's finish talking about the TV show.
Talking about the television program.
I think. I mean, the worst you could say about Star Trek is that
what's the worst you can say about
it? Well, it's of its time. As progressive as it was, it's still of its time, and we are all prisoners in our own time. There's a title for a season 3 episode. Season 3 had the best titles.
Yeah, it did.
And the worst episodes. I mean, it was, for its time, it's so much more progressive than anything else. So it's hard to fault. I guess it's easy to fault it because it's like, you're so progressive here. Why are you fucking up over here? Yeah. But it's like, humanity makes the climb together, and the things we're fucking up on. I'm sure in another 40 years we'll be looking back on something maybe the fight against gay rights, I guess. Well, we're already looking back on it now and going like, ew.
Like we're already being like, look,
you are gonna look like the people bombing black churches.
You're gonna look like a total asshole. Like
right.
we know this now.
We already know this. We've known this for years, but now the rest of the world's kind of coming around. But I'm sure there's something we don't even know that we're doing but we do the best we can and we move forward.
What's crazy though is I think it was Uhura who said that they're talking about how like the budget was slashed for the third season, and so
it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, the cancellation.
And they couldn't like hire like good writers, and I was looking at a lot of these episodes were written by people who had already written Star Trek episodes.
So that's not really
not really a good excuse.
Right.
I mean,
I mean, does slashing the budget, or is it more a case of just like, look, we're out of ideas at this point, and Roddenberry's out to lunch?
Still, I think it because there are like
I'm gonna read some books about the behind the scenes.
There are good ideas in the third season that just aren't fleshed out enough, or they take a weird turn. They zig when they should have zagged,
or they don't go far enough in terms of, like, we were talking about this in the last episode, like Kirk not finding a real solution, just the story ending. It's like it feels lazy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's 50 minutes. Is that 50 pages? We're done. We're good.
And I don't know if that's Freiberger's influence.
Freiberger.
I mean, I don't know if that's him just being like, fuck it, you've got a week to write it instead of a month.
I mean, then why the fuck why continue the show?
Because, I mean...
Because of some fucking letters?
That's a good point. I don't know. It's like, I guess maybe somebody at the network must have liked the show, and it's probably good press for them, right? Because, I mean...
Well, I mean...
They had shit like the first interracial kiss on television. They you know, as the civil rights movement is amping up, here's a big multiracial cast. I mean, granted, most of the minority characters are token, but still they're there, which is a pretty big fucking deal for the time.
You have Jewish Darnell.
You've got Uhura, you know, Sulu, Chekhov, the Russian. You know, I mean, and it must have been making some money for them. Maybe not as much as they wanted. So maybe they figured, well, you wrote us enough letters, we'll try it again and see. But then they put it in the death slot and they slashed the budget and they're like, now try to make money for us. Try to sell advertising dollars now. Try to get us ratings now. I don't know. I don't understand the politics of how TV works. It's sort of like the season of Community right now. Like if the show wasn't doing well, why fire the person who turned it into a critical hit and then keep it going? It's sort of like if your wife dies, but you find a way to keep electrical impulses to keep the body sort of moving.
That's what I'd do.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not giving up.
Yeah.
I married her for life. My life, not hers.
Right? Once I die, okay.
Okay, you can turn off the batteries. Till then,
Star Trek, man. We watched it. We watched all of it. We fucking did it.
I'm very proud of us, actually. Because we've started projects in the past that, you know, haven't always gotten where they need to go, and we stuck it out to the bitter end.
This was hard. I'm not gonna fucking 7 episodes a week.
It was a trudge some weeks. Now some weeks we had one perfect week. I think
that was one glorious week.
The one where with Devil in the Dark and Space Seed and every
shit, Space Seed was so good.
Seriously, it's like and I think we also had City on the Edge of Forever, or was that the next week? I don't remember, but we had one perfect week, some pretty good weeks, and the last few have been kind of tough. But also, there's sort of a morbid fascination to it, though. For me, at least, it's like,
what happened?
Exactly. It's sort of like, how did we get this? How did we end up here? And I'm really excited that we're done with the show because we get to start the movies. And I love the Star Trek movies. I think I like the movies better than I like the TV show.
We'll be back on Sunday. This Sunday,
another trudge.
We'll be discussing, and I don't know what kind of format it's going to take. I mean. Well, I guess it's like 6 hours. I mean, we talked about 7 hours of Star Trek.
Exactly, it's about the same.
But I mean, like, I don't know how it's gonna.
Maybe it'll be a more free-form discussion or something.
But we will be discussing Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
I'm very excited. I haven't seen it in like 15, 20 years.
Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
I saw that last week.
Yes, as did I.
Are you gonna watch it again?
Yeah, for sure. Star Trek 3.
The Search.
The Search for